All right, so if you've been keeping an eye on the news, you've probably seen the headlines screaming that Florida's housing market is in some serious trouble. But, the real story is so much more interesting than just a simple crash. It's really a tale of two completely different Floridas, and honestly, it might just be telling us something big about the future of housing for all of America. Let's get into it.
So this is the big question, right? The one on everyone's mind. You see these alarming headlines, and it's super easy to think the entire Sunshine State is just in a total freefall. And hey, if you only look at certain numbers, you might actually believe it. And here is the exact data that's feeding that whole crash story. What's really wild is just how concentrated this is. I mean, 4 of the 5 biggest price drops in the entire country all happened in this one little corner of Florida. Punta Gorda saw prices drop almost 12% in a single year. That's not a slowdown, that is a massive, massive correction.
Okay, so those numbers are totally real, but they're just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. The truth is, the entire state has been cooling off after this period of just supercharged, insane growth, and there are some really key reasons why.
It was basically a perfect storm of factors all hitting at once. You had builders who were chasing that post-pandemic boom, creating way too much speculative inventory right as mortgage rates decided to shoot for the moon. That COVID sugar high, where everyone could suddenly work from home and decided Florida was the place to be, well, that wore off. And then on top of all that, you get the devastating impact of major hurricanes and the absolutely crippling insurance hikes that came right after.
And wow, this timeline just lays it all out, plain as day. Just look at the slowdown in people moving to the state. In 2022, Florida gained over 310,000 new residents. The forecast for 2025, just a little over 22,000. That flood of new people has slowed to a trickle.
Okay, so that's the big picture view, a statewide slowdown. But here's the thing, if we stop there, we miss the most important part of the entire story. The reality on the ground is way more granular. To really get what's happening, you can't look at the state as one single thing.
So instead of asking if people are still moving to Florida, a much better question is this: where are people moving within Florida? Because that answer reveals everything.
And boom, here it is. It's so clear. Some of the most expensive, famous counties like Miami-Dade are actually losing residents. But at the exact same time, smaller, much more affordable inland cities like Ocala and Lakeland are absolutely exploding. In fact, Ocala had the single highest population growth rate of any metro area in the entire nation. Let that sink in.
And this quote from Joel Underwood of Tri Pointe Homes just nails it. The COVID crew, the folks from New York and California, they could afford Miami or St. Pete when they first moved down. But that whole era is over, and the new game is being driven by totally different factors, and the biggest one is affordability.
So the crucial point here is this: Florida's growth story has not ended, not by a long shot. It's just relocated. It's moved away from those pricey, flashy coastlines and found a brand new home in these more accessible inland pockets.
And this really sets up what we're calling a tale of two Floridas. It's this incredible patchwork of super strong micromarkets that are thriving right next to areas that are facing some major, major headwinds.
Let's start with a hotspot, Central Florida. Take Orlando, for example. It was the fastest growing large metro in the whole state over the past year. It is still a very, very bright spot in the market. And even here, the strategy is really nuanced. Builders like Tri Pointe aren't just, building everywhere. They're specifically targeting these premium main locations, because they recognize that in a market that's shifting, the quality of your location is absolutely everything. Okay, another pocket of real strength is Port St. Lucie. It has one huge advantage. It's a lot more affordable than nearby Palm Beach, but it's still close enough for many people to commute.
And Alex Akel from Akel Homes points out exactly who's moving here. It's this mix of retirees from the Northeast and then also people who are just getting priced out of South Florida. They're finding a value proposition in Port St. Lucie that pretty much doesn't exist anywhere else.
All right, now let's flip the coin and talk about the other side of this story. Southwest Florida. This is ground zero for those dramatic price drops we saw at the beginning. It's widely considered the most challenged home building environment in the entire state right now.
I mean, the region just got hammered by this brutal combination of factors. 2 incredibly powerful hurricanes, Helene and Milton, caused just massive damage. That, in turn, led to insurance rates skyrocketing. And all of this happened at the exact same time the market was already drowning in too much inventory and dealing with very, very nervous buyers.
Man, this quote from Marshall Gubity is so telling. His company builds these amazing hurricane-resilient homes that sustained zero damage. But because his community is right next to Anna Maria Island, which was just devastated, the psychological toll on buyers was huge. Fear itself became a major force in the market.
So with all of these challenges, especially in the Southwest, you have to ask the question, has the market finally hit bottom? Well, builders on the ground are starting to see some early signs that a new kind of balance is beginning to emerge.
So first off, builders have adapted. They've gotten smart. The strategy now is pretty simple and defensive. Step 1, sell off all the existing homes they've already built, often by using incentives. Step 2, stop building on spec completely and only start construction once they have a signed contract from a real buyer. And because of that, we're seeing some glimmers of hope. Visitor traffic to new home communities is actually up. Now, buyers are still hesitant. They're taking 3, 4, even 5 visits instead of just 1 or 2, but the important thing is they are looking. And maybe the best sign of all, sales leads are climbing month over month, which is a strong signal that demand is slowly but surely coming back.
And this Zillow forecast really shows what that could mean for prices. After that steep drop of over 9% in Cape Coral Fort Myers last year, the projection for the year ahead is, well, it's basically flat. That painful correction might finally be giving way to some much-needed stabilization.
So if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Asking if Florida's market is crashing is simply the wrong question. Florida isn't one market. It's a complex, dynamic collection of dozens of hyper-local markets, and each one has its own unique story of either growth or correction.
And that leaves us with a much bigger question to chew on. Is this tale of two Floridas really just a preview of what's to come for the rest of the country? Is the whole idea of a single national housing market a thing of the past, replaced by this patchwork of distinct local realities?